watching QTV and we're broadcasting live from our studios on Caraba Avenue. I am Ansman Esonyasi and this is the news. Here are the main news headlines. The Presidential Meet People Tour had two meetings on Monday in the Central River region where people from various constituencies asked for development projects from President Barrow. On the same day, the President held audience with a delegation from Reporters Without Borders at his home in Mankamakunda in URR. The mayor of KMC, Talib Ahmed Bensouda, on Monday paid tribute to the mayor of Madison City, Wisconsin, for contributing immensely to the development of the Kanifing municipality. And the task force comprising personnel from the Ministry of Health and partners conducted a joint operation on Tuesday to enforce tobacco control laws. In international news, the 2022 second ordinary session of the ECOWAS Parliament opened on Monday in Abuja, Nigeria, attended by representatives of various African countries, including the Gambia. So stay tuned as we bring you more on these and other stories. Those were our main headlines, and now we take a look at the news in detail. The Presidential Meet the People Tour had two meetings on Monday in the Central River region, where, among other requests, people from various constituencies asked for agricultural support, road construction, access to water, electricity, and improved health facilities. Mohamed Lamincho reports.
The President is in CRR for two joint meetings. At his first meeting in Jareng, the President is given a fitting welcome by people from Nyamina East and West and Nyamina Dankonko. The women at this meeting are represented in the dialogue by Councillor Aissatou Cissé, who praises the President's government for always empowering women and fulfilling its promises. Councillor Jallo tells the President of the inadequate number of nurses and the resource constraints of the hospital in CRR and demands government's intervention. Speaking for the youth in this meeting, Mamadou Jallo draws the President's attention to the poor road networks linking some communities in the region, which are in need of fixing. This, he said, has made access to the hospital difficult, especially during the rainy season. The youth representative wants government to support youth businesses and provide access to clean drinking water to communities that are currently without any. The President hears the voice of farmers through the Vice President of the Gambia's Farmers Union, Alhaji Cissé, who stresses in his speech the farmers call for an increment in this year's government price for groundnut sales. Mr. Cissé strongly believes CRR South and North have the land capacity which, when cultivated, can sustain and feed the whole country. Chairman Ganyado Jallo acknowledges the high cost of fertilizer and appreciates government subsidies to reduce the cost of fertilizer for farmers. Chairman Nyangado informs the President that a community ambulance provided by government has not been operating for lack of fuel. He appeals for the problem to be addressed as it has made patients' access to the hospital difficult. The National Assembly member for Nyamina East, Dauda Jeng, re-echoes the capacity of CRR to serve as center for farming to achieve food self-sufficiency in the Gambia. He reveals that 40,000 hectares of land is not being cultivated. President Barrow delivers an address outlining his government's plans to solve socio-economic challenges facing the country. On groundnuts prices, the President emphasizes that government will be spending $500 million to buy groundnut from farmers at a reasonable price of $32,000 per ton. The President says the price increment is to support farmers. He also pledged to fulfill his campaign promises to the Nyamina constituencies, which include road construction, electricity, agriculture, and access to water. From the meeting in Jareng, the presidential tour proceeded to Bansang, where the fourth and last meeting in CRR was scheduled. The joint meeting gathers people from Upper and Lower Fuladu and Janjanbureh constituencies. Chairman Mane Sama, like several other speakers in the region, reiterates the CRR South and URR, when given the right support, can help realize the Gambia's food self-sufficiency, especially in rice cultivation. He identifies several feeder roads linking communities in the Fuladu and requests government to construct them. Ali Modu Toure, the chief of Upper Fuladu, is grateful for the President's commitment to supporting development in the country. The chief informs the President that the community ambulance given to communities in his area is benefiting people. He, however, appeals to government to help with fueling the ambulance. The Agriculture Minister, Dr. Demba Sabali, calls on the private sector to consider investing in agriculture adding that it's a lucrative and profitable sector. The minister also urges the CRR youth to become engaged in agriculture for a living. He updates the people of the 3 constituencies that agricultural storage facilities and more boreholes are set to be provided to communities. The Minister of Lands, Local Government and Religious Affairs, Sharif Abbasanyang, advises people to be peaceful and tolerant towards each other. He cautions that religious intolerance has become frequent in CRR. The Religious Affairs Minister told the assembled that religions are meant to bring people together in peace and harmony. In his last address at this meeting in the Central River region, President Barrow notes that his presidential election victory in 2021 was a vote of confidence by Gambians. He vows to give back to people by delivering more development than ever recorded. Regarding electricity, President Barrow emphasizes his commitment to providing nationwide electricity coverage by 2025. To ease transportation of people, goods and services, the President told the people of CRR that his government plans to construct 1,200 kilometers of roads and that people will see work at an advanced stage in 2023. For rice self-sufficiency in the Gambia, President Barrow announced at the CRR meeting that his government has a high-yielding rice variety and is currently partnering with the Chinese and Korean governments who are ready to support rice cultivation in the Gambia. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, QTV News.
And also on Monday, President Barrow held audience with a delegation from Reporters Without Borders at his home in Mankamangkunda. The Secretary General of Reporters Without Borders, who is part of the delegation, commended the Gambia government for the marked improvement in press freedom in the country.
Delegation from Reporters Without Borders have had a 1-hour meeting with President Barrow at his residence in Mankamangkunda, during which the delegation discussed the challenges of journalism and commended the President for the Gambia's improved record in world press freedom, noting that the country can be a source of hope for people under oppressive rule. Christophe Delaware is the Secretary General of Reporters Without Borders.
We had long discussions about the rights and duties of journalists and made proposals to the President to do our best to support the efforts in the future of the Gambia to really promote the social function of journalism, which can be absolutely key for the further development on all aspects, economic and beyond. The development is the future of the country.
The RSF-SG pays tribute to a late Gambian journalist, Dida Haidara, who was also their correspondent in the Gambia. The RSF delegation made recommendations to President Barrow, such as law reforms to register more progress in press freedom and promote the social function of journalists in the Gambia.
We spoke about the draconian laws to be removed from the legal framework. We spoke about the importance and the urgency of perpetrators of crimes to be sentenced, to be condemned, and especially the killer-in-chief, Yahya Jammeh, who has to be extradited from Equatorial Guinea to another country, if not the Gambia, another country, to be sentenced, to be judged.
Lamin Queen Jammeh, the Minister of Information, took part in the meeting, which he describes as fruitful.
As you are aware, we have received a very important high-powered delegation from Reporters Without Borders. And the purpose of their coming is to come and interact with the leadership of the Gambia, to share important things, matters relating to the media in the Gambia, and of course to thank His Excellency the President for the rising position that the Gambia had been achieving over the period in the area of freedom and in the area of media generally.
Since President Adama Barrow assumed the presidency, Gambia has rapidly recorded positive ranking in press freedom. For example, in 2017, RSF's World Press Freedom Index ranked the Gambia 147th out of 180 countries in the world. Since then, the country has made 100 steps forward, reaching 50 out of 180 countries. Last year saw the Gambia make a 35% jump from 85th to 5th position. On the continent, Gambia is ranked 8th position as among the top countries where journalists are free to practice their craft. Reporters Without Borders was founded in 1985 and is at the forefront of the defense and promotion of freedom of information and the protection of the rights of journalists across the world. Mohamed Lamin Chai, QTV.
Now, the mayor of KMC, Talib Ahmed Bensouda, on Monday paid tribute to the mayor of Madison City, Wisconsin, for contributing immensely to the development of the Canifing municipality. He was speaking during a joint council session with a visiting delegation from the KMC's twin sister city, Madison. More in this report. The Madison, Wisconsin mayor's visit to the KMC head office is part of a series of engagements he expects to undertake during her 7-day walking visit to the Gambia. Accompanied by representatives and senior Madison area council officials, academics and experts in various fields, Mayor Satwa Rhodes Conway was welcomed to a colorful ceremony, preceded by a guard of honor by municipal police and accompanied by the melodious sounds of the police band. The welcoming ceremony was followed by perhaps one of the most important activities of her visit, a joint council session on the ongoing and future joint development projects and efforts to further strengthen the existing bilateral ties between the Canifing municipality and Madison in the USA. Welcoming his Madison counterpart and her delegation, Talib Ahmed Bensouda, the mayor of KMC, says KMC's twinning with the city of Madison has had a great impact, citing his recent visit to Madison as very instrumental in helping restructure the council in meeting its development priorities.
We met more members of the Sister City Committee, such as Jere Kujabi, Kababa, Musa Jalo, etc. And over the years, they all became good friends. And they all pushed me to make this relationship tighter and more closer. And boy, are we happy. Since we cemented this relationship, good things have been coming to the Canifing municipality.
Mayor Rhodes Conway expressed gratitude for the reception her delegation received. She says the city of Madison has similar relations with at least 10 other councils, but KMC continues to show strong commitment to their over a decade-old relationship.
I was a very new mayor. I didn't really know what our relationship was with the Canifing or with other sister cities, and so I was honored to welcome the mayor to Madison and to talk about the importance of libraries, but I don't think I realized at the time how deep the relationship is. And so I want to thank all of the people who are in the Sister City group, whether they are here in Canifing or in Madison.
Several other speakers, including Gambia-born US-based Sambaba, a member of the Wisconsin State Assembly and one of several representatives at Madison Area Council who made the trip to the Gambia, and Kemo Bojang, Youth Councillor and Head of Foreign Affairs Committee at KMC, highlighted the importance of this visit and emphasized the need to further strengthen ties between the people and councils of Canifing and Madison.
We wouldn't have been here also either without the commitment of Mayor Talib Bensouda. My very good friend, a comrade, somebody that I can speak to. He knows my craziness more than anyone else. But he's an excellent guy not because he's here, but because we all know if he's not outside in his presence that he is not. But he's a very, very, very hardworking person who is committed.
We like to say KMC is the heartbeat of the Gambia, and we like to sell it as a place where people can harness their potentials. As it is the urban center of the Gambia, and it's a place where everybody comes for opportunities.
Following this joint council session, the delegation is expected to visit the Kachikali Crocodile Pool in Bakau, and as part of its commitment to support the education sector, they are expected to pay a courtesy call on the Charles Jau Memorial Academy, the University of the Gambia, and the Ministry of Higher Education. Answana Isonyase for KTV News. And that report there will lead us to the commercial break, but we will be right back.
Under the auspices of the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, the Muslim World League, in collaboration with the Gambia government, will host the Conference of African Religious Ministers and Ulamas on the 6th of December 2022. The International Islamic Conference will bring together ministers of religious affairs, leading Islamic scholars, policymakers, youths, community leaders across Africa to discuss and advance Islamic values that promote peace and tolerance. Let's come together and welcome our brothers and sisters in keeping with our trademark hospitality as the smiling coast of Africa. This message is brought to you by the ministry responsible for religious affairs in collaboration with the Gambia OIC Secretariat.
To make sure your company's products and services reach your potential customers, it is essential that you choose the right channel for your marketing purposes. QTV has the widest reach locally and beyond, and we can give your business the visibility it needs. Call QTV Marketing on +220 324 4444 or email us at marketing@qtv.gm and take your business to the world.
Welcome back from that commercial break. Be reminded you're following QTV News and we're broadcasting live from our studios on Caraba Avenue. Now, a task force comprising personnel from the Ministry of Health and partners conducted a joint operation on Tuesday to reinforce enforcement of the tobacco control laws. Suleiman Dabo was with the operation team and filed this report.
Task force was out and about on the streets of Banjul to find out whether those dealing in tobacco are following tobacco control laws. The officials were from the Health Ministry, Gambia Revenue Authority, National Environment Agency, and the Gambia Police Force. Supermarkets and corner shops were randomly visited. The officials were looking for shopkeepers that have either cigarettes or other tobacco products displayed publicly or selling single sticks of cigarettes, which is against the law. This exercise was friendlier than previously conducted exercises. Out of the many shops visited, only one violator was asked to visit the Banjul police station for questioning. And he was asked to do so because, according to the officials, he had been warned several times not to either display tobacco products in his corner shop or to sell in single sticks to the public. By doing so, he was found in violation of the tobacco control laws. As was the case with all those who violated the single stick rule, the open cigarette packs were seized by the officials, while the shop owners were warned to stop displaying tobacco products on their shelves. While this exercise is not meant to ban the sale or smoke of cigarettes, Gambian authorities are certainly determined to control the sale and use of tobacco in the country. In a study published in the British Medical Journal on smoking in the Gambia in 2020, the prevalence of any type of tobacco usage among all adults aged between 15 and 49 years was 9.94%, while 9.92% and 0.08% of adults smoked. Of these, 81% of users smoked tobacco daily, and the prevalence of tobacco consumption among men was 30 times higher than among women. The crackdown on violators of the Tobacco Act will continue on Wednesday. Suleiman Dabo for QTV News.
Now, 25 service providers of support to sexual and gender-based violence victims have received training on how to provide mental health and psychosocial support. The training was organized by Peace of Mind, the Gambia, and supported by UNFPA's Peace Building Fund. Jennifer Sonko reports.
The training brought together 25 participants, social workers, health workers and students of psychology. The training was a 5-module training course on mental health and psychosocial support for service providers of sexual and gender-based violence in the one-stop centers across the country. Nearly 1 billion people worldwide some form of mental disorder. According to latest UN data, an estimated 1 in 4 people globally will experience a mental health condition in their lifetime. Persons who experience sexual and gender-based violence often end up dealing with mental health-related issues. Basir Sane of Peace of Mind elaborates.
The package of this project also includes a 2-day capacity training to community mental health advocates drawn from 10 different organizations. So in fact, we have talked about more than 12 organizations as we speak.
According to the World Health Organization, almost 1 million people die due to suicide every year, and it is the 3rd leading cause of death among young people. And for every suicide, there are many more who attempt suicide. Depression is the leading cause of years lost due to disability worldwide. Now, social workers and health workers as service providers have a role to lessen the impact on victims. Here is Sylvia Lorenzi, lead trainer at Peace of Mind.
Peace of Mind is is not only focused on sexual and gender-based violence, we are focused on all the different issues that can affect our mental health. As I said before, we are looking at drug addiction, we are looking at different type of mental health condition like schizophrenia that can put an individual to a stage that cannot function and cannot run a normal life.
Participants will go back to their respective institutions to implement and share knowledge gained. The training is a good way for participants to start the 2022's 16 days of activism.
We had the modules were in different sessions, the first one being the most impactful for me personally because it is called self-awareness. Self-awareness is all about yourself because as a healthcare provider, I cannot be able to provide service to someone without being aware of myself first. Throughout the modules, the topics have been really interesting and it has helped me and also shaped how I will help patients, survivors of sexual and gender-based violence.
Peace of Mind was established to raise awareness and offer support in response to psychosocial issues affecting individuals across the country, including within homes, schools and community, with a special focus on psycho-emotional welfare. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Wasonko.
And now on to international news in a moment. Now, the 2022 second ordinary session of the ECOWAS Parliament opened on Monday in Abuja, Nigeria, attended by Muhammadu Buhari, President of Nigeria, and Umaru Sissoco Embalo, President of Guinea-Bissau, and the current chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Governments. Aliou Cissé is in Abuja and files in this report.
The 2022 second ordinary session is convened in Abuja, Nigeria, the headquarters of the ECOWAS Parliament, to discuss various pressing matters confronting the sub-region. During this session, community parliamentarians, among other things, will deliberate on the presented draft community consolidated budget for 2023 and to ensure it is directed at programs that will impact the sub-region. Addressing the session, Umaru Sissoco Embalo commended the leadership and parliamentarians for making the parliament visible and relevant to the people and encouraged them to review the 2023 community budget with diligence.
Mr. President of the ECOWAS Parliament, I would like to conclude by reaffirming our appreciation for the work of the illustrious member of the Parliament, as well the full support of the authority of the head of state and the government that I have the honor to chair, and the brotherly and effective cooperation of all instances of our community.
Sidi Mohamed Tunis, Speaker of the ECOWAS Parliament, thanked the two presidents and eminent personalities for honoring his invitation. Despite the challenges faced, he said the Parliament continues to deliver on its mandate to address emerging issues that threaten the sub-region, such as the pandemic, terrorism, unconstitutional changes of government, climate change, the Russia-Ukraine war, which has resulted in hyperinflation, particularly on energy and food. While Speaker Tunis gives assurances of the ECOWAS Parliament's commitment to work with the new management of ECOWAS Commission to ensure transparent, peaceful, and credible elections in Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and Liberia, Dr. Umar Aliou Toure, President of ECOWAS Commission, said his management assumed duty within the context of institutional reforms to reposition the institutions of ECOWAS. The Gambia-born ECOWAS Commission boss said his management identified 4 strategic objectives: delivering solidarity messages. The President of ECOWAS Court of Justice, the President of the Pan-African Parliament, and the President of the House of Councillors of the Kingdom of Morocco all call for a coordinated efforts and cooperation to deal with the current difficult realities in the sub-region. Speaker Tunis presented awards of excellence to Presidents Buhari and Embalo for promoting regional democracy, peace, security, and good governance. Reporting for QTV News from Abuja, Nigeria, I am Aliou Cissé.
And I'm afraid from the report there by Aliou Cissé, this is where we draw the curtains on this bulletin. But before we take a leave of you, here's a recap for main headlines. The Presidential Meet the People Tour had 2 meetings on Monday in the Central River region, where people from various constituencies asked for development projects from President Barrow. On the same day, President Barrow held an audience with a delegation from Reporters Without Borders at his home in Mankamangkunda in URR. The mayor of KMC, Talib Ahmed Bensouda, on Monday paid tribute to the mayor of Madison City, Wisconsin, for contributing immensely to the development of the Kanifing municipality. And a task force comprising personnel from the Ministry of Health and partners conducted a joint operation on Tuesday to enforce tobacco control laws. In international news, the 2022 second ordinary session of the ECOWAS Parliament opened on Monday in Abuja, Nigeria, attended by representatives of various African countries, including the Gambia. That's all for this edition of the news. Thanks for watching.